What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Before we do anything, I just would ask, if you are enjoying the videos and want to keep watching more, then please do just tap the subscribe button down below, because we're getting very, very close to 12,000 subscribers. It is once again time for some more Premier League predictions, and I want to give a shout out to David Redgrift, who did actually correctly predict Burnley to beat Crystal Palace 1-0. When searching for comments to include to shout out in this video, I first of all wanted to see if anyone predicted Brighton to beat Aston Villa, and nobody in my comments actually predicted that, obviously myself included. And I did say in the video that because I'm finally not backing Brighton after all this time, they're actually going to go and win, and then what do you know, they go and do it. But David Redgrift was one of the only people I could see who predicted Burnley to beat Crystal Palace, so well done to David. If you want your comment featured in the next episode of the Premier League predictions, then leave yours down in the comments below, and if you predict a particular upset, then I will choose you to be featured in the next episode. Now, of course, because of the support you guys have shown me on the channel, this video is once again very kindly sponsored by the guys over at OneFootball. And if you don't know what OneFootball is, it is a free app on iOS and Android that gives you everything you could want when it comes to football, whether that's news, transfer news, updates, injury news, competitions, all that sort of stuff. OneFootball has got you covered with their very easy to navigate and very clean looking app. You can go over there, favorite your favorite teams, keep an eye on your favorite leagues, and they give you up-to-date score alerts, like I said, news and everything like that. It is the all-in-one place for football related content, so definitely go and check them out using the link in the description, because it supports me as well, and they're doing a really, really good job over there. So massive thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring these videos. There is an exciting little prediction related thing I'm working on with OneFootball for December, so definitely keep an eye out for that as well. But now, if we take a little look back at the Week 9 predictions, some of the things that I got right: we got Chelsea to win and over 1.5 goals. That's been very, very solid. Both teams to score in the Wolves-Southampton game, and it ending 1-1. That was a fantastic call from me. Arsenal double chance and under 4.5 goals. Luckily, managed to come in despite Nicola Pepe's best efforts. West Ham double chance and both teams to score in the Fulham-Everton game, and Everton to win. So not a bad week with some fairly decent calls. Let's try and take that form into the next round of Premier League fixtures. We have Crystal Palace up against Newcastle. I don't see this being particularly exciting, much like the Burnley Crystal Palace game. I don't see many goals in this one. In fact, I'm going to do something that I did for the first time and hopefully correctly predict a 0-0 draw. So I'm going to go for 0-0, and my tip is going to be under 2.5 goals at 1.66, because whilst Palace do have players that can score goals, and Newcastle definitely do have players that can score goals, I can see them cancelling each other out here. The games between Palace and Newcastle are always low scoring. Certainly recently, I don't know the last time a Palace-Newcastle game saw more than 2 goals. I really don't. So I'm going to go for under 2.5 goals in this fixture. Next up, it is Brighton up against Liverpool. Brighton finally getting a win that I was saying that they were going to get for weeks. And then, as I said, the one time I decided to think, you know what, Brighton have let me down one too many times. I'm going to go for them to lose. They go and win. So perhaps, you know, in most weeks you could just ignore what I say about Brighton, because they always seem to do the opposite. But this week is going to be a time where I correctly predict a Brighton result, because they are playing Liverpool. And Liverpool, even with a vast amount of injuries and even with, you know, COVID concerns, they managed to dispatch of Leicester. And Liverpool are the type of team that even with a weakened side can still play the same style of football that Klopp likes to play, the attacking style of football. Firmino scored a goal, quite a rare occurrence. Mane's still playing. I don't know if Salah will be back for this one, but either way, I think Liverpool will have enough to get the job done here. And because Brighton are playing free-flowing, expansive football for the most part, I will still give them that. I'm going to go for a high-scoring game, and I'm going to go for Liverpool to win this one 3-1. My tip is going to be Liverpool win and over 2.5 goals. So that encompasses a 3-0 in case Brighton don't score, but that's at 2.37. So I think the value there cannot be missed. If you want to play it safer, like I do with the Chelsea games, maybe go Liverpool win and over 1.5 goals. I perhaps could have done that, so maybe that's something to consider. But either way, I definitely think there's some value to be had there with Liverpool playing away from home against an more attacking, I should say, Brighton side. Now, next up, it is Manchester City up against Burnley. There were a few different markets I sort of tried to figure out where I'd go with this tip. Manchester City to win to 0 was one that I dabbled with, but you never know. Burnley could just get a random goal, so I wasn't sure on that one. Man City -1 handicap looks very safe, but for that reason, it's only valued at 1.5. And obviously, a -1 handicap is Man City to win by 2 goals or more, which I think will happen, but at a slightly better value of 1.61. My tip is going to be Manchester City to be winning at half-time and winning at full-time in a 3-0 win over Burnley. So take your pick. Win to 0, -1 handicap, halftime, full time. I just put the balance of the value and the likelihood of it happening and came to halftime, full time, because Man City to win to 0, if they win 6-1, it's a ridiculously convincing victory, but the tip doesn't come in. So I'm always reluctant to say that one. But next up is Everton against Leeds. Leeds having some, some tough times finding the back of the net against Arsenal. They actually failed to do it despite many shots, hitting the woodwork multiple times. And Everton managing to beat Fulham away from home, but did concede twice. So I think Leeds will finally be able to score again in this fixture, but similar to how Leeds lost 4-1, I can see Leeds scoring, but ultimately in vain, with Everton back at Goodison Park, where they typically play quite well. So I'm going to go for an Everton 2-1 win, but my tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.57. That is just in case Leeds do pull off a result. Either way, even if Leeds do win, I don't see Everton not scoring, so both teams to score is my tip there. Now, next up, quite a difficult game to call, I'll be honest. It's West Brom up against Sheffield United. I was very close to tipping a draw in this one, but again, that's something I'm reluctant to do, despite me actually doing it later on in the video. But I couldn't separate these two teams. I can't imagine it would be massively high scoring, but I couldn't see it being 0-0 either, because West Brom and Sheffield United are both right down the bottom of the table. So this is essentially a 6-pointer already. So I think both teams are going to go for it. Unlike when Sheffield United play Manchester City and they have to close up and keep the game low scoring, they'll probably feel like they can attack West Brom a little more. But similarly, West Brom did look like they were causing Man United some issues on the break, and as the home side against another team struggling in the league this season, I think West Brom will want to play more attacking football and will ultimately score. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but my tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.95. And when I last tipped 1-1 draw and both teams to score at 1.95, it was the Wolves-Southampton game, and it did in fact end 1-1. So maybe we can repeat that form in that game. But next up, it promises to be a very exciting one. Southampton up against Manchester United. Southampton doing pretty all right at the moment with Danny Ings. They're yet to really be bruised from his absence. Manchester United managing to scrape the win against West Brom. I mean, I said Man United would beat West Brom convincingly. I didn't think Man United would score, but I didn't think it would be a 1-0 win. If you told me it'd be a 1-0 win, I would have bet my house on it being a Bruno Fernandes penalty, but it is what it is. I think this is going to be a very exciting and high-scoring game, because Southampton, their fixtures do tend to be higher scoring. I know it was 1-1 draw against Wolves, but Wolves is a very sort of low-scoring defensive sort of team. So I think this one's going to be a high-scoring game. Games between Southampton and United recently have been high-scoring as well. So I'm going to go for a 3-2 away win to Manchester United. I think this is going to be the first slip-up for Southampton without Danny Ings. I think Man United are just going to be able to get this away victory, but my tip is Fernandes to score anytime at 2.87. I looked at the penalty market, and Manchester United to score a penalty was 5.5, but I'm sort of encompassing that tip with any perhaps goal in open play, which I think could be likely against a team like Southampton, where I think it's going to be end-to-end. So Bruno Fernandes to score anytime at 2.87, and as he is on penalties, I assume he'll stay on penalties. That looks like a pretty good shout given Manchester United's penalty record. Now, next up, it is definitely the game of the week. It is Chelsea up against Tottenham. The two teams, really, I would say the only two teams you can seriously even begin to consider being in a title race with Manchester City and Liverpool at this point. Tottenham beating Manchester City. It doesn't matter that Man City had all the possession. Tottenham played it perfectly and did exactly what they had to do to get the win, and a well-deserved 3 points. And Chelsea, on the other hand, have just been looking absolutely relentless, and this is going to be a big test for Tottenham. Tottenham only losing one game this season, first game of the season against Everton, and I think Tottenham are finally going to lose again. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win to Chelsea, which I believe was the scoreline the last time these two teams met at Stamford Bridge. I'm going to go for a repeat of that. 2-1 to Chelsea, and my tip, I couldn't look past this value on a super fluid attacking unit such as Chelsea. Chelsea to win at 2.1. I gotta say that is a pretty attractive bet for me. Next up, it is Arsenal up against Wolves. Arsenal, very low scoring games. I'm quite glad that Nicola Pepe will not be playing this game because of that little sort of headbutt, because he shows flashes of brilliance running with the ball, but the end product is lacking so much that I don't see his value on the pitch at the moment, which is a real shame. But Wolves, they managed to get the draw against Southampton, but they're not really looking like themselves. I think this is going to be a very, very close game. I think in Arsenal fashion this season, it's going to be low scoring. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, which actually it's been a 1-1 draw at the Emirates the last 3 times these teams have met. So maybe even my tip could be a 1-1 correct score prediction. But my tip for this one, I'm going to stick my neck out because I could make these tips very, very low value and, you know, massively increase my percentage of success to like 8 out of 10 per week. But I like to try and find value and go a little bit risky. So I'm going to tip a draw at 3.4 between these two teams. I think Arsenal should win this one, but I know Arsenal and I know that they might choke. Next up, it is Leicester up against Fulham. I think this is going to be a much easier game for Leicester, it's safe to say, than going to Anfield and losing 3-0. And Fulham, they looked okay. They scored 2 goals against Everton, but you can't equalise and then let in 2 goals before half-time to go 3-1 down at the break. You just can't do that in the Premier League and expect to get enough points to stay up. It's looking very, very bleak for Fulham at the moment. So I'm going to go for a Leicester home win. I'm going to say Fulham will score. I think both teams to score could be a good tip, but I'm mixing it up here. My tip is going to be Leicester win and over 1.5 goals at 1.8 to allow for a potential 2-0. My score prediction is going to be a 3-1 win to the Foxes. Now, the final game of the week, it is West Ham up against Villa. West Ham getting a really, really good away win against Sheffield United, and Aston Villa disappointingly losing to Brighton at Villa Park. So this is a complete coin toss. I have no idea where this game is going to go, so hence I'm going to predict Aston Villa to get their first draw of the season. I'm going to go for a high-scoring 2-2 draw between the two teams, and my tip is going to be one that I always love to throw in there. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 1.9. So that is going to do it for my Premier League predictions for Week 10. I really enjoyed this one, and I'm very, very excited. I've pushed the boat out with some of these tips. Under 2.5 goals, always a bit risky. Chelsea to win, Fernandes to score, a draw. These tips are a little bit risque, but I cannot wait to see how they turn out. So please do drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. The last Premier League video broke the all-time record on this channel with over 500 likes, which is just phenomenal. Subscribe if you don't want to miss a future video, and definitely, as I said, go and check out OneFootball using the link in the description to get up to date on all of your football news. So that is going to do it from me, and I will see you in the next video very soon.